is Nikolai Due-Gundersen. He's an international relations and MENA specialist. Good afternoon, peace be upon you, and welcome to the Draft Time Show, Nikolai.
Thank you very much. It's great to be back.
Thank you very much for joining us today. Now, Nikolai, was this the first time that you attended the Peace Symposium? If so, if not, how did you find out about it?
Yes, this was the first time I attended, and I
Oh,
found it
okay.
to be very engaging. I was actually invited, by the way, and I appreciate that very much. I thought it was a very engaging forum that brought together civil society and also allowed people to see, what is the Ahmadiyya community about? How do Muslims live their lives? But
Mm-hmm.
also, it showcased global activities as well. I was very impressed by, for example, being shown model villages with solar power. That's one of the projects I was explained that you run. It was very, very impressive.
All right. Now, this is something that you saw, but before attending, what were you
Mm.
expecting, and how did it work out? Like, how did it go then?
I was expecting it to be an interfaith event that would deepen interaction between possibly religious communities.
Mm-hmm.
I was very, very surprised, quite positively, to see that in addition to such activities, you had very, very diverse guests. We're talking, international scholars,
Yeah.
people from local governments. This is clearly, it was not simply an interfaith event, but one that connects diverse civil society groups.
Nikolai?
Yep,
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
yeah.
Now, this year's theme was around establishing long-term peace. In your experience, I mean, do you think that
Mm.
we are heading towards or away from that? I mean, there are so many hotbeds around the world nowadays.
That is very
Yeah.
true. Yeah, I mean, I think what's sad to see is the fact that rather than permanent stability, right now the world has pockets of small stability and is plagued at the same time by civil and proxy wars.
Hmm.
We do need to talk about peace a lot more. It's more important now than ever. The Arab Spring, I think, was a wake-up call for some, and the
Yeah.
refugee crisis as well means that we need to learn to get along, we need to learn to share.
Yeah.
And peace, one of the things I took away from the symposium is the fact that peace, it is a collective responsibility, and having an annual symposium to discuss how we can build a path towards peace is a reminder of that, and that we need dialogue for that.
Absolutely. Now, His Holiness, he mentioned that the development of sale and arms, the sale of arms are causing destruction and hurting families. As a
Mm.
specialist on international relations, how deep rooted is the issue of sales of arms? I mean, will countries ever take a step back for the sake of humanity, or is it always going to be, a financial kind of
Mm.
thing that overpowers everything?
I sincerely hope that countries do start to take a step back, but at
Yeah.
the same time, the figures don't lie. And one of the shocking things, for example, is the fact that if you want to talk about arms, which His Holiness has discussed quite frankly, I mean, over 50% of U.S. arms exports go to the Middle East alone. And at the same time, we've seen how European arms deals were no stranger to dictators before the Arab Spring, and it allowed some of them to use weapons against their own people. You know, one of the problems we've had is historically intervention in various countries has been more about politics and less about humanitarian causes. What we need to see is governments have to align their interests with the people, especially in the
Yeah.
Middle East.
Yeah.
That is true governance. I mean, true governance is to serve the people, but there are too many governments that focus on power and their own interests. And again, revolutions that are happening across the world are a wake-up call. So
Yeah.
we're going to have to see. I sincerely hope that more governments start to break the addiction of power and start to focus on their people, because this is what we need.
Absolutely. Nikolai, just lastly there, what do you think, well, for you personally, what was the highlight of that evening?
I would say I was very positively surprised to meet some of your Arab community members, two
Okay.
gentlemen from North Africa. I got to practice my Arabic with them, which was fantastic. But also, on a more formal note, I have to tell you that it was also eye-opening to speak to them about persecution. I met a young man who came from Morocco
Hmm.
and who was embraced by your community and felt that that was the right faith for him, and who had to leave his home country because, again, going back to the issues with governments,
Yeah.
governments often they try to manipulate religion, and so he no longer fit their narrative,
Yeah.
and so he was persecuted, which is very sad. But at least speaking to him, it was clear that he felt he belonged in your community and he was welcomed.
All right.
Which is good to know.
Good, good, good. Nikolai Due-Gundersen, International Relations and MENA Specialist. Thank you so much for joining us today once again.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye.